Okay, welcome back to the Contrarians, everybody. Good morning, Martin. How you doing?
Yes, doing great. Looking forward to talking some Kiss. Always a good day talking some Kiss. So
Yeah, so we have another installment in this kind of fantasy pick'em Kiss Alive series that we've been doing, where we decided to answer the question, what would Kiss Alive 3 have looked at like if it came out on time after the Elder? So with Dynasty, um, Unmasked, and the Elder, and even we included some tunes from Kiss Alive 2 from the studio side. And then we decided to kind of keep it rolling and say, okay, what would Kiss Alive 4 look like after Animalize? So we had Creatures of the Night, Lick It Up, and Animalize with some tunes from Killers. We also have a Kiss Alive 5, which focuses on Asylum, Crazy Nights, Smashes, Thrashes, and Hits, and Hot in the Shade. So today, what we're doing is we're continuing the series again, this time with Kiss Alive 6. So Martin and I decided to do Kiss Alive 6, where we're including Revenge, Carnival of Souls, and Psycho Circus, and maybe one or two legacy tunes in there as well, because they had Kiss, well, actually, the real Kiss Alive 3 came out at that time, but we're kind of assuming that never really happened. Anyways, we're going to do this episode slightly different than the previous one. So in previous incarnations, for example, Kiss Alive 3, we did that as a double vinyl, like double vinyl with four sides. Martin took two sides. I took two sides. We went back and forth. What we actually did this time was we decided we each are going to come up with a 15-track CD. So Martin's Kiss Alive 6 is going to be different than my Kiss Alive 6. And we're going to go through a handful of songs each and go back and forth until we have all 15 songs for both albums. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to throw it over to Martin, because Martin's got a few notes here that he's going to go through, and then we'll start trading off songs. So take it away, Martin.
yeah, and before we start, I must say thank you for the event you put on for your Mystique documentary this last Friday. It's Wednesday. It's Wednesday just after right now while we're doing this. But yeah, for anybody who's interested in cool Canadian, obscure metal history. I mean, they weren't that obscure in Hamilton. That's what I learned from the film. That was amazing. But yeah, Marco put on a film launch event. It was hugely attended. Lots and lots of people there. There was even like a cool Mystique little museum. There was Mystique merch. The band came up and took a bow afterwards. So yeah, Marco's done a full blown, really well put together documentary on Mystique. So I hope you have success with that. But that was pretty cool. That was a neat trip to Hamilton. So Kiss Alive 6, as Marco says, we're each doing a 15-track CD because this is the CD era. So and Kiss probably isn't doing all that hot to the point where they're going to make a double album. So the label's probably put pressure on them, saying, "Hey, we just need a single CD from you for this new live album." So I've posited the idea that this is the lineup after Peter and Ace fall back out of the band. I'm positing that the lineup here is that they go back to Eric and Bruce for this. So yeah, I've got my so this is from essentially the ideas from these three albums. And oddly enough, I just realized this after doing this exercise. These are the only three Kiss albums that I have that are fully signed. So there you go. Those three in a row. Um, so so my idea is that this is called the 10 Years of Revenge Tour 2002. I really like Revenge. I think that's a great album, and I think maybe a good manager, Doc McGee or somebody might posit that let's have this idea of trying to get Revenge past gold into platinum, and maybe have ads that say, "Hey, we're trying to make Revenge a platinum album because it deserves to be platinum." I think it's the great sort of lost album. So it's the 10-year anniversary. They reissue it, expanded all this, and this is called the 10 Years of Revenge Tour. So my first track is "Thou Shalt Not," which is from Revenge, and I like that opening line from Gene. I lived most of my life in New York City, so they're going to film this, or they're going to do this album at Madison Square Gardens, right? So here they are, with this opening line about New York City. I think it's a great, good rockin' song, really straightforward. It might have some recognition because it's now at this point 10 years old, and they've got this big campaign going for Revenge, trying to turn Revenge into a platinum album in the States. Maybe they issue the song as a vinyl single, live on one side, studio on the other, CD single as well. And yeah, this new live album will come out May 19th. 2002 Kiss Alive 6, which is the exact 10-year anniversary of Revenge. So you start with that. Then we're into Take It Off. Another great Revenge song, party song, and you're really making the point that this is the 10 years of Revenge tour with this. But yeah, just a good up-tempo, rock and Kiss song to get the blood flowing kind of thing. Then we're into I Pledge Allegiance to the State of Rock and Roll. This is a good party tune from Psycho Circus. I think it's probably the best song on Psycho Circus. I'm not a big Psycho Circus fan. I don't think it's a very good album, but I think this is the best song on that record. I think it's the happiest and most melodic and most like old Kiss. So again, we're really kicking off this CD, this concert with a bang. Then we're into Jungle from Carnival of Souls. So Carnival of Souls is the slightly more than slightly controversial, grungy album from them. I don't think I like the album quite a bit. It's worn off a little bit to me. I really, later on the album, it's got that In the Mirror song, which is like a complete rip off of My Wave, Soundgarden, right? But yeah, there are a few songs that I would put in here because this is Kiss Alive 6, and yeah, they're trying to keep that thing going of the last 3 studio albums. So we've got Jungle in there now. And then we're into Domino. We're back to Revenge. So another good quality Gene sung song. This was a pretty big song from Revenge, and it proving that they like it. They did put it on their Kiss Alive 3 album. So I'll stop there. Those are my first 5. Marco, any comments? Just to explain, we're breaking this up into 5 each until we get to the end. So that's my first 5.
Yeah, just interesting that you open the album with Thou Shalt Not. And another thing that's interesting is we've already picked a couple of the same songs, and we have not picked any of the same Carnival Soul songs yet. So that'll be interesting when we go through that.
Yes, Marco and I did not compare notes at all.
No, I had no idea what Martin was doing, although we did discuss we can kind of create our own lineup, our own fantasy lineup, and our own lineup of songs as well. So I actually, interestingly, went with the Tommy and Eric version of the band. So my fantasy Kiss Alive 6 is taking place after the farewell tour. I'll say like 2004, 2005. And just in our fantasy series, remember that we also had Kiss Alive 5 in our fantasy series. I think the band probably would have thought, okay, let's put something out with Tommy and Eric on it, make it official. They'll officially be on an album, and let's just do the next Alive, and we'll focus on the last 3 studio albums with maybe the odd legacy song. So I've tried to pick songs that I think they actually would have played live, and a lot of these songs they actually did play live. So I kind of stuck with that for my choices. And I'm opening the album with my first legacy song, which is Creatures of the Night. So they actually opened Kiss Alive 3 with Creatures of the Night, and it just kind of makes sense at this point. They got the makeup back on, except Tommy and Eric are in the band now, so they're doing songs that Peter and Ace didn't play on. So Creatures of the Night opens the album, and open Kiss Alive 3. Then I'm going to move right in. This is all actual real Kiss Alive. Now I'm confusing myself and other people too, probably, but this is real Kiss Alive 3 territory. They go into I Just Wanna. So that came off of Revenge. That's a Paul tune. So we got Paul opening the first couple of tunes, Creatures of the Night and I Just Wanna. And it actually takes place that way on Kiss Alive 3. And then I go into Unholy, which is another Revenge tune, which is a Gene tune. So now you've had a couple of Paul tunes and now a Gene tune. This is actually the same way that the real Kiss Alive 3 opens, except this time I'm imagining Tommy and Eric are in the band and they're wearing makeup. Then I'm going to go into a Psycho Circus tune. So from Unholy, I'm going to go into Within from Psycho Circus. They actually played this song live. So if you went to the Psycho Circus tour, this was a tune that they actually did live from that album. And then to end off my first 5 tunes, I have Heart of Chrome, which I don't think they ever played live, but is one of my favorite Paul tunes from Revenge. So I went Creatures of the Night, I Just Wanna, Unholy, which is basically the same way Kiss Alive, the real Kiss Alive 3 starts. Then Within, which was played live, into my own fantasy. I got to pick a tune or two that they didn't play live, so I put Heart of Chrome, and that's my first 5 tunes.
Nice. Yeah. I hate Within. Can't stand Within. And Heart of Chrome is a funny one. I don't quite like it very much, but it sure sticks into your head. You can't get that chorus out of your head. It's just got this kind of cool melody to it. And I love your idea of kicking off with Creatures of the Night. That's going to be really cool. That's a big bombastic opening. And like you say, they're all back in makeup, right? For this, for your situation. I didn't really think about that. I guess for mine, they aren't in makeup. They've taken the makeup off again, sort of thing. So it's it's the legitimate, the band that was making Revenge and Carnival of Souls. But okay, so my sixth selection, we're moving into the middle third here. I'm going to go with Into the Void from Psycho Circus, and we're going to have Bruce Kulick sing that because that's the famous Ace song off of that album, and I think it's a pretty good song off of that. The fans like it. We definitely know the fans like it the same way they like the Ace Frehley solo album. It's the best of the solo albums. And then I'm going to go into Unholy, and I think this is a good Gene one where he might be breathing fire and he might be spitting blood, and there might be a bass solo. This will be the God of Thunder for the 90s and the 2000s. Essentially, it's the Gene showcase song. So yeah, Unholy is pretty good to throw in here. Then I'm going to go with Psycho Circus. Good name recognition. It's the most adjacent studio album, so it's 98, and here we are doing this 10 years of Revenge tour 2002. So hopefully it'll sell a few more copies of Psycho Circus. I think it's definitely a good concert tune. It obviously feels like a song that's supposed to open an album, but I think they got a lot of good songs that can open an album. And then we're into Spit from Revenge, which I think is a great underrated rocker from that album. It's got lots of stops and starts, which works good with the challenge of a PA system in a big hockey barn. So I think it's going to come across live really well. I think Dave Mustaine from Megadeth has said before, and it's a very insightful idea that big wall of sound songs don't do that well. So Kiss has a lot of OTT, double bass songs from the 80s and things like that, which just would sound like a big smear. But the idea with Spit is that yeah, it's got all these stops and starts, and it's definitely going to sound really good in a big hockey arena. And so my last one for the middle ones is I Just Wanna, another Revenge tune, which I just think is another great party tune from Revenge, and we're really trying to sell Revenge here. We're trying to get that record to platinum in the States. There you go.
Okay, so to start off my next little set of songs here, for number 6, I have Carnival of Souls, Childhood's End. So I figured after the last couple of tunes, I mean, like Unholy, Within are kind of heavy, and then Heart of Chrome is a good, up-tempo Paul tune. They kind of slow down the show a little bit with Childhood's End. And then they go into, interestingly enough, this might not make sense in the track listing, but You Wanted the Best. So I think that would be a good one. You got Tommy and Eric in the band now, and I think that's a good one that all 4 of them can take a verse of that. And that just seems like the type of thing that a makeup Kiss band would do, would be You Wanted the Best. I don't think they ever did that live. That's the only thing. So that's another fantasy pick 'em, although it sounds like a song they would do live. It's like kind of like a celebration kind of party tune. Then I go into another Carnival of Souls tune, Rain. So that's a good heavy kind of Paul tune. They're trying to find things from Carnival of Souls that they can do live for this album. So I picked Rain for Paul. And then Domino after that. So my number 9 tune is Domino, which they actually did live, and they played on the real Kiss Alive 3. And that was one that you've already picked so far for your set list. Then I go into Hate, which is another Carnival of Souls tune. And I think that's all the Carnival of Souls tunes I have on here. Childhood's End, Rain, and Hate. So Hate's is the one that opened Carnival of Souls. It's kind of a cool, heavy Gene tune. So those are my next 5 tracks.
Wow, quite a lot of bravery with Carnival there. I tried to put some of those in. I just thought, nah, this is not going to work. It's just they're too downer and heavy and doomy kind of thing. So yeah, pretty interesting. And You Wanted the Best. I was surprised. I definitely played with that one, and I didn't include it here. I thought it might fit, but I think it's a little bit of a poor man's Kickstart My Heart. It's not that great a tune, I suppose. But okay, so my last 5. We kick off a little bit of a short. I'm thinking just like you, this idea of bringing it down for a little bit of an acoustic set. I've got a medley of I Will Be There from Carnival of Souls with Every Time I Look at You. So you've got a little bit of the, a little bit of each song, one bleeding into the other, the sad one and then the slightly happier one. You got the carnival song and then the revenge song. It's a medley, possibly sitting on stools, couple of mandolins. There's a mandolin in I Will Be There, or mandolin sound or whatever. I don't know if it's true mandolin, but so you've got that. And that leads into Childhood's End, same song that you picked, but I'm picking it with a lighter arrangement, maybe not a full acoustic arrangement, but maybe they're adding a little bit to it, but it's not as full band as it is on the album. So we've got kind of a medley of mellowness, and then this one's pretty mellow, and then it leads into God Gave Rock and Roll to You Too, which again is just bringing up the power a little bit, but it's still kind of a ballad. So we've got this 11, 12, 13 is the sort of the radio sequenced acoustic getting stronger and more concert friendly as the thing goes on. And then for an encore, I've got two legacy tracks, Heaven's on Fire from Asylum, 1984, ending off the show with Shout It Out Loud from Destroyer. So I wanted to pick a 70s song and an 80s song, and I wanted them to have hit recognition, but not be the absolute top. So there's a little bit of surprise, but there's still songs that every Kiss fan would know. But they're like middle tier, B tier hits sort of thing. So it just shows that maybe they're thinking a little and not being so particularly predictable, but still closing off the show with the legacy thing. And I think the legacy thing comes into this a little more for this series than it did early on, because as time goes on, they're definitely a heritage act, a legacy act. I think the label would probably be negotiating and pressuring them to put even bigger hits than this on their album. All the Rock and Roll All Nights in Detroit Rock City and all that sort of stuff. They probably wouldn't get away with it, but maybe as a fallback, they'd say, hey, we'll stick on Heaven's on Fire and Shout It Out Loud. What do you guys think of that? And then probably fight about it, and they eventually say okay, kind of thing. So there you go. That's my full 15.
Interesting. I like what you did with the medley there, because I know like on the Revenge tour, after the Revenge tour, they did a bit of a club tour. So like, and they did some obscure songs, I think, on that club tour too, or at least songs they didn't play often live. So I could see them, if they were going to do like a Revenge type of reunion or Revenge type of, I guess, anniversary album, I could see them doing something interesting like that, maybe doing a little acoustic set, because after the Revenge tours, when they did all the acoustic stuff that led into the reunion tour. So I could see them kind of doing a throwback to the acoustic stuff and doing something a little interesting, because they did interesting stuff on a Revenge. So that's a good, you're using your head there, so that's good. I'm going to continue on with my set list. So I went into I Pledge Allegiance to the State for number 11. According to Setlist FM, they actually played around with doing this song live in 2004. So you could say if this Kiss Alive 6 comes out in 2005 with Tommy and Eric, you could say they were doing that to kind of gear up to put it on this album. Because they, according to Setlist FM, they played it 3 times live, all 3 times in 2004. So my next track, we're keeping with the Psycho Circus theme and going into the Void. This is one that you've already picked as well, and Tommy would sing this for me. Then we go into this track Psycho Circus, because that's one of the big tracks of the 3 albums. It's the title track from Psycho Circus, so it kind of needs to be on here. I kind of struggled with the end of my set list here. I was thinking on whether I should put Take It Off on here or not, because it was one I think that they played live for Kiss Alive 3. I did put it on here, and then I went with my only other legacy tune, which was Black Diamond, which is to finish off my set by Eric. And then I cheated and I added a 16th track and did God Gave Rock and Roll to You Too. So what would end my, so with Black Diamond, everybody gets a lead vocal. Everybody gets to sing on You Wanted the Best, and then everybody at least gets one lead vocal, Tommy with Into the Void, and Eric with Black Diamond, which was kind of the norm for their later tours in the 2000s. And then I would have to finish off with God Gave Rock and Roll to You Too. And I didn't, at that point I had 16, and I was looking back, I'm like, what do I want to remove? And if anything, I probably would have taken something like Heart of Chrome off, I guess, but that was just one I wanted to keep on. So
now, is that on all versions, all territories, or
Take It Off?
No, God Gave Rock and Roll to You, the last track.
On all territories,
or Take It Off.
Oh yeah, this could be like an exclusive to Japan or something like this. Like I think Take It Off on Kiss Alive 3 was exclusive to Japan. I don't think that was actually on the Kiss Alive 3, but it was on one of the versions with an extra track. Or I'm thinking of a different tune.
Or it could be not printed on the back of the CD and just be a hidden track. So
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, cool.
And they could even do, if you're going to go with your medley thing, they could even go into Star Spangled Banner, which they actually closed Kiss Alive 3 with. So you could do God Gave Rock and Roll to You into a little Star Spangled Banner and then close the show.
Yeah. Yeah, I like the idea of closing the album with "God Gave Rock and Roll to You" too, because of Paul's great, vocal vamps at the end of that, right? It's just a really big, well wishing, and it's a send you off into the parking lot and get into the car and drive off sort of song too, right? So it's got all that going for it. But yeah, great. Yeah, we definitely had a lot of crossover here. I think you were a little more brave on the Carnival of Souls stuff than I was, but yeah. Great albums. I don't know. Let us know, everybody, which of these you would buy. Would you buy them? Give us your own track listing. Your own wacky fantasy differences on this thing. It'd be good to see what people pick for this. So
yeah, and I know some people actually tried to create playlists to our past like Kiss Alive series. And I know, at least for mine, like my Kiss Alive 6 that I just went through, you could almost create that live because most of those tunes they did live. So if you were going to do a live playlist, you can kind of get close to my 15 songs or 16 songs or whatever.
Yeah.
So,
all right.
Yeah, cool. I guess that's it. Unless there's anything else, we'll wrap it up. And thanks, Martin, for joining us. And thanks, everybody at home, for spending the time with us. Let us know what your Kiss Alive 6 would be. Let us know, would you create a playlist of these tunes? Was there any tune that we left off that should have been on there, or any song that was on there that should have definitely been left off? Let us know in the comments. And if you can, like and subscribe. And we also have Patreon and Ko-Fi and TeePublic and all those cool things. So we'll see you next time.